Few people know all the names of all these rare earth minerals, but collectively they are really in so many things. We detailed them: military, smartphones, EVs. Walk us through the importance of these elements and really what a game changer they've been from everything from defense to our cars.
Well, you're absolutely right, Sean. I mean, rare earth metals collectively really power and make life, modern life possible. As you mentioned, everything from military applications, missiles, night vision goggles, really the entire modern way of prosecuting a war depends on rare earth metals. Everything else as well, the transition to a sustainable future from a climate perspective is also reliant on rare earth metals. So I think this is exactly why this has become such a priority for the U.S. And I think we can understand this as just the latest manifestation of American strategic anxiety, around this subject.
So China, as we detailed, has a wealth of rare earth mineral deposits, and with that, Beijing plays a critical role. So how is that affecting the United States, EU, and other global areas?
Right. So, Sean, I think, again, as an expression of American strategic anxiety here, it is understandable what the U.S. is looking to accomplish. But I think we should look at this from two perspectives. This is intrinsically a very, very difficult thing to do. And we could look at it really in there's the upstream part of it, which is getting the minerals out of the ground. There's the midstream, which is the extraction, the refinement, and then finally there's the downstream, the actual conversion of these rare earth metals in purified forms into usable components. So this is intrinsically an incredibly difficult thing to do. China has invested decades, many man hours of research and development engineering, as well as a lot of capital as well. So first, this is intrinsically very difficult. And I think second, it is even more difficult for the U.S. to lead such an effort because I think many countries know and have experienced directly the structural instability of the U.S. in pursuing long-term projects. And I think this particular administration will face enormous challenges given its contradictory efforts towards some of the key players that would need to commit in order to make this a success.
Yeah, basically meaning in 3 years, things could change dramatically. So as we talked about, this big meeting in D.C. with G7 members who are pushing to reduce reliance on China for supplies of these minerals. Talk more about the genesis behind this and what you think will come of all this.
Well, Sean, and again, I apologize. The audio is a little bit choppy here, but if I understand your question, what is the likely outcome here? So I think alignment is easiest at the press conference and hardest at the cash register,
Mm.
because in many ways this effort shares some of the collective action pathology of a cartel. So I want to be clear: this is not a cartel, which is a group of suppliers, but this is really more of a buyer's club. But at the same time, the same incentives are there to make it very difficult to have sustained coordinated actions. So first off, we have very heterogeneous actors here. And again, there's I think a certain skepticism towards the U.S. in leading such an effort here. And I think it's important to point out that Japan, which is the country probably most capable of pulling off something like this because of its political structure, the ability to coordinate policy over long periods of time, has spent more than 10 years of this. And while it has made some progress, reducing a very well-cited headline numbers, reducing reliance from 90% to about 60%. But this is a plateau, and they could get no further than 60%, despite being one of the most capable actors
Yeah.
attempting to do something like this over a 10-year period. So we have to see how this plays out. I think if we think of this in three stages, there's the policy stage, there's the market stage, there's the structural stage. On the policy stage, I think some sort of success within the next 12 months is likely, meaning there's some joint communique, there's
Right.
general agreement on what needs to be done. But in the midterm, can actual products be made? This is, I would say, maybe the market phase that will be between 1 to 5 years. It's a big question mark, but I think longer term, kind of the structural success
Sure.
seems the most unlikely.
Okay, Andy, how could this affect the consumer? We talked about the military applications, but really, rare earth minerals are in everything modern.
Sure, Sean. Well, I think one direct one effect on the consumer certainly could be on price, because if something were like this were seriously attempted, at least in the beginning, it would not be anywhere near as cost competitive as what China is able to offer. And I think the other thing to point out too is there are absolute scale advantages when it comes to quality as well. So I think consumers, whether we're talking about individuals or businesses or even governments, will could very likely be negatively affected with something like this.